1. Hello everyone. This happened a few days ago at the smoke shop I work at. I'm also an assistant manager there for context. I'm in the back office preparing a return when my manager points my attention to an obviously suspicious person in our store. She is wearing a coat 3 sizes too big, bright red, and it was not even that cold outside. I turn around and she's crouched down behind the back room door looking at the vape clearance rack. The back room door is one of those swing doors, and not a real one, so I just watched her as she did this, oblivious to my presence. When she walks away from the rack, I go to the counter. I see her take a value pack of vapes we had left over for Christmas and walked to the other side of the store with it. We never saw that again. Then she walks back to the register, presses her body against an end cap, and is very loudly opening one of the vapes. It came in this plastic wrap around it, so it was extremely loud, and she's less than a foot from my face, and I'm making eye contact, basically, with her as she does this. She walks back and forth for a bit, and while she's walking around, all of the vapes are in full view of her giant coat pockets. I'm texting my manager, who's in the office watching the cameras about everything. She finally comes to the register again and purchases a $2 CBD gummy. When I call her out about the vapes in her pocket, and if she intends to buy those too, she starts acting innocent until my manager comes out and notices them too and is questioning her about it. She tried to say she bought them the day before, to which my boss says, "Okay, great, we can check inventory then to see if they were purchased." She starts getting defensive about it and screaming at my boss as we prove to her there's no way she bought those, and all 3 of us, another co-worker being the 3rd, saw her doing this in plain sight. She starts to walk away, and we call the police as we cannot physically restrain or keep people there, and we get the license plate of her car and tell the operators that. Well, they caught her. The dumbass also had her friend drive there, and they were oblivious to what this friend did when the cops called them. They tracked his license plate. Don't know what happened after that, but we were almost positive she went to jail, or is going to, because my manager requested to press charges. 2. So I used to work at a very big, very high-profile retail store. I have a few good stories from my 2 years there, but this is the biggest one I'd love to share. I was a cashier, and most often was supervising the self-check. My town isn't huge, so most of the customers would at least recognize me. If you worked a certain amount of time, you were required to take an hour lunch break. When we had our lunch break, we fully clocked out and had no access to anything in the system. We were also told that we were expressly not allowed to do any work tasks or help any customers while on our break. If we did, the store could get in huge trouble, and we ourselves could even get fired. I did different things in my break, but this particular day I had decided to buy a few things for lunch in the store, and then head home to hang out with my mom while I ate, since I lived really close. I happily procured my miscellaneous goodies, including a treat for my mom, and happily stood in the line at the self-check, waiting for a register. I had my work vest with me, but it was off and slung over my shoulder. When I was next in line and the register opened, this lady shoved past me, literally knocking my precious pack of beef jerky out of my hands, and beelined over to the open register. I was annoyed, but I didn't want to waste my lunch break, and she wasn't worth the confrontation. So I just quietly picked up my jerky and made my way over to another register, which had opened up literally about 10 seconds later. I was just happy and quietly scanning my goodies when I hear snapping and a loud, "Hey!" I turn around and find the same woman glaring at me. I blink at her, bewildered, before she says, "Hey, I need your help over here. I scanned this twice. I need you to take it off." I look over and saw that my coworker, who was actually over the self-check, was helping someone else. I look back at Karen and smile politely and say, "Oh, sorry, I'm on lunch break right now, so I can't help you, but my coworker should be free to help in just a second." Karen did not like that. She glared at me before asking, "Why can't you help me? You're right here." I blinked at her and explained that I wasn't clocked in because I was on my lunch break. I could get in trouble for helping her. And I couldn't really even if I wanted to because my ID wouldn't work in the system while I was clocked out. Karen stomps her foot and insists that's effing stupid. You work here. If you're in the building you're working, you have to come help me. At this point my coworker was done and had walked over to help, but Karen wasn't having it. No, I asked them for help. They should do their effing job. They're just being lazy. I started ignoring the lady and went back to checking out, while my coworker tried to explain to her that I wasn't on the clock and couldn't help. But she's not having it. This adult woman throws the stuff she was buying on the ground, leaving her cart and everything there, and marches over to the customer service desk when my manager was standing. Karen then brings my manager over to the self-check and loudly exclaims, "Your employee was refusing to help me and being extremely rude." At this point I'd finished checking out and was standing by the self-check exit. My manager just looks at me and says, "Goblin, are you on the clock?" I tell her nope, that I'm just trying to get my lunch and go home. So the third person sternly explains to this woman that I'm not on the clock and I'm not allowed to or able to help her. Instead of going back and getting help from my coworker, she storms out, screaming about how she's never going to shop there again. Okay, cool lady. I won't miss you. It didn't even stop there. As I was talking to my manager and a few coworkers and explaining what happened, Karen's husband comes in. He goes to Karen's register, finishes checking out and pays, then comes over to me and tells me his wife is in the car sobbing and in severe emotional distress because of how I treated her and embarrassed her, and that, "I hope you're real proud of yourself." I just grinned at him and gave him a thumbs up. As he's walking out, my manager tells me I should feel free to take an extra 30 if I wanted. I then happily skipped home to enjoy my jerky in peace. Believe it or not, Karen, retail workers do in fact have basic human needs and rights. 3. Context. I work as a merchandiser for a company contracted to handle a very popular US soda brand, as well as some energy drinks and canned coffees. For those who don't know, for certain high-selling items, stores, usually grocery stores, but not always, have a hard time keeping the shelves and displays full, so they contract merchandisers to come in and do it for them. Plus, since merchandisers have a more specific set of items to handle, they have more time to make these high-traffic areas look nice. As merchandisers do not work for the store, though we take some direction from the managers. We wear different uniforms, in my case a t-shirt with the name of our flagship soda, and most importantly, do not have access to any of the store's systems. I 100% understand why many people think we work for the store. That isn't what this is about. If a customer asks me a question I can answer or help that I can provide, I will help them. If I can't help them, I'll explain that I work for a different company and they will have to talk to a store associate. If they are polite or business is slow, I'll help them find one. Most customers take this explanation graciously and apologize before getting help from someone who can help them. This story is about one of the people who couldn't recognize that. It was toward the start of my day, about 6:30 a.m. The store opened about the time I got there, and the only customers were a couple of early birds getting a start to their day and night shifters grabbing groceries on their way home. Very few people needed carts. Only one register was open with a small line. I was working on restocking the cooler at the register next to the open one. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Chip Guy. Chip Guy was a middle-aged guy with a cart full of chips. This detail isn't important to the story, but that's the name I gave him. He walks up to me. "I'm in a hurry. I need you to open up another register." I look at the line of two people at the open register. "I'm sorry, but I work for the soda company, not the store. The cashier available is very good at her job and will be through the line shortly." "I don't have time for that. I need to check out now. Your precious sodas can wait 30 seconds. "I'm sorry, sir, but I work for a different company. I do not have access to the registers. I can't help you, but she," I gestured to the cashier who had moved to the next customer, "can." "Dumb bitch, haven't you learned by now that the customer is always right? Open that register now or I'll get you fired." As I said, I'm not a store employee. I don't have access to the computer to check you out. The next register is open. I point to another customer packing their things and leaving, and she can help you.
Are you dumb, you shit? I asked you. It's a stupid computer. You push a couple of buttons and take my money. A beetle could do your job better than you. This is the reason this country sucks. All you young people are too busy doing drugs, getting piercings, having sex with whoever you want, and you won't even learn how to use the damn computers you insist are so important.
Just for the record, I don't wear any piercings, nor did I indicate my sexual preference in any way. I'm about to graduate in cybersecurity, and I didn't bring that up for fear that he would want me to break into the computer. I saw the awesome manager coming. They're a great manager, and I knew he would back me up. The only reason I hadn't already called him for backup is that he usually didn't get in until 7, along with the other managers. He happened to come in early today. In fact, he was still wearing his coat and bag, indicating he hadn't been to his office yet. "May I help you?"
You need to fire this dumb bitch refusing to do her damn job and check me out.
Sir, that language is highly inappropriate. She works for the drinks company. She's not wearing a store uniform. She doesn't need to put up with your bull, but she has, because she's a good person. If she decided she wanted to work for this store instead, I would hire her in a heartbeat. You have exactly one chance to apologize and check out at the other register. If you don't like that option, you're welcome to get out and get your chips at another store. And then he used a very racist term to talk to the man, and suggested he only let me stay because he was having sex with me in his office. He then claimed to be a friend of the former store owner and would have both of us fired. Funny, I didn't see you at their funeral. He sold the company years ago when he started having health problems. He hasn't had a say in how this store is run since then. But he is one of the best people I've known. There's no way he would have stood for this. You've cussed out me and OP. You have exactly 3 seconds to leave before I call the cops. Chip Guy stood there for a second, then actually left once the awesome manager got on the phone with the cops. Unfortunately for him, he left with his cart, so awesome manager still got the cops to go after him for theft. The cops arrived after the guy left, but awesome manager, being a legend, got a picture of his license plate. So the cops came and got our statements and found out who the car was registered to. After the cops left, the store did an inventory of their small electronics section, the only really valuable stuff in the store, because a dude freaking out over chips and running off with the cart is super suspicious. They found that a pair of expensive headphones was missing from the case. Their best guess is that he managed to grab the headphones somehow and buried them in the chip cart, hoping that whoever checked him out would be in too much of a hurry to notice the headphones. They would eventually catch up with the guy. Awesome manager stopped by the police station to identify him in a lineup. The missing headphones were still in his car, along with all the chips. I said I would testify as a witness if they needed, but I probably won't have to. 4. I'm a cashier, so I'm mostly up front. Because they keep moving me back and forth between all 3 cashier shifts, other than some people I've worked with when I worked in other departments, I have no idea who works there and when. We have this one guy, Bobby, that I literally have no idea what he actually does. I've seen him work liquor. He's bagged for me before. Sometimes I see him in the bakery, and most recently they've been bouncing him to the deli. Bobby's... interesting. I've heard rumors that he lost his house or apartment around Christmas and is living rough outdoors. He seems permanently stoned or otherwise impaired. The first time I met him, he hit on the combo clerk. For those of you who don't know, a combo is someone who is a full-time bagger but can also cashier. They just normally don't. That was also working with me. She's not even 20 yet, and I walked up to her that first day and said, "What's your name? You look like trouble." This wasn't cool. Bobby has also been kicked out of a local business next door to us for refusing to show ID while trying to get beer after or maybe during work. When the owner, who was a friend of mine, asked for his ID, he called her a racist and had to be thrown out. Tonight, though, took the fucking cake. Bobby came into work about the time I was about to go to lunch. If the rumors are true, he's living in a bush. It was showing. His pants were down around his ass. He started verbally harassing the pickup girl, curbside delivery, the former combo clerk, and started to play fight with two of the shift managers. He was supposed to be in Delhi, so we all kind of shooed him back there and stared at each other. Next thing we know, he's back in the deli trying to close in the 2 hours before they closed. He was slamming dishes and cussing out customers. Bakery is right next door, and my BFF works in bakery at night and used to work in the deli when I worked back there, and got Bobby's attention and told him to go do the floors in the meat department instead. My BFF called up front to tell us what was going on and offered to close deli. My shift manager decided to take his lunch to call our front-end manager, who said to go get Bobby and send him home, wherever that is, and to take written statements from anyone he interacted with. Shift manager played high school football and is a pretty level-headed kid, so he went back and sent Bobby home. Shift manager then took written statements from everyone who dealt with Bobby. My involvement in this nonsense is that I am the union steward, and if Bobby is to be disciplined, it's within his right to ask me to go to the meeting with him and make sure his union privileges and rights aren't being messed with. But I'm not actually sure if he is active union. Apparently he got fired a while back, but the proper paperwork wasn't turned in, so he got unfired. The absolute one thing the union cannot save you from is being intoxicated or on drugs at work. Although we have to be able to prove it, and again, if his dues are current and he is active union, he has the right to request I go to his drug test with him and make sure it is administered properly. The other fun option is Bobby has to request the area union rep comes to defend him and make sure he didn't violate any rules that the union cannot protect you against. Those also include violence, documented sexual harassment, time card doctoring, and 3 no-calls, no-shows in a row, without any excuse like a doctor's note or arrest paperwork. I know this guy is an entire fuck-up, and I actually plan on speaking to our regional union person to get perspective on this. But y'all might think grocery store life is boring. Nah, son, it's the same 3-ring circus, just different players and roles. Oh, and someone tried to shoplift a bottle of Patron tonight. That went about how you think it would have, given the whole alarm tags and all. All I know is I was never so glad to get off work in my whole ass life. Hugs and kisses, the former Queen of Cambodia. 5. I had been doing IT stuff on the side for a few years, then went on to do it full-time professionally from 2003 to February 2023. I was tired of many aspects of IT, and assumed the pastures would be greener anywhere else. I'd been thinking of getting out of IT for a few years, but when my paychecks were sucking on top of not enjoying not only my job, but where IT is headed, I started looking for anything just to get away from it. Within the hour of deciding I was done with IT, I called the owner of a small but very successful hardware store. And by hardware I mean crap for the home. Screws, bolts, wood, think Home Depot. 1 week later, the owners of the company made me an offer as a store manager, with a staff of maybe 15 employees ranging from 17 to 70 years old. And I couldn't refuse this opportunity. Despite my feeling mentally challenged, I have never had a problem learning new things. But oh my god, this is tough. The pay is really good. So good that I don't know how they can afford my salary. They gave me an advance of $4,000 to help with the transition into the position, as they only pay monthly and just received my first check today. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even want the advance money back. They're very good people, and when I asked when and how do I begin paying back the advance, I was told not to worry about it. They also told me that some of their employees received $5,000 to $15,000 in bonuses last year, which explains the work output. I admit I don't plan well, but now I have the most money in my bank account that I have had in probably close to 15 years. Also, the owners work 7 days a week, and assume everyone else wants to do the same. These people honestly live to work, and that's part of the transition that is going to make this hard. But IT made me soft, and I'm about 30 pounds overweight, so I feel like I'm in boot camp. I am used to sitting on my butt or standing in front of a server all day, and not dealing with maybe 3 or 4 people a day. now is constant, and it feels like I'm dealing with 3 or 4 people at a time all day, and another 10 high-priority things that I can't get to, and another 30 lower-priority things that I need to do but don't even have time to plan how to go about it. Basically, I have a to-do list, and the first and only item on the list is create to-do list. I feel like I'm babbling and complaining at this point, despite being paid well and getting exactly what I asked for. But I had just one more point to make, and that is, this is killing my feet. Also, I ride a bike for exercise, and both indoors on a trainer and outside when it's nice. But this work makes me feel like I've been doing nothing and expected to run a marathon every day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 168. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please poke the like button before you go, I would appreciate it. I mean, you don't have to go. You could watch another video. Put your feet up, make a cup of tea. Or make the tea, then grab like a biscuit or something, then put your feet up. I think that works better. I didn't think the logistics of it the first time, but I think the other way works better. Okay, right, I don't think there's any special business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is something you intellectually object to, but practically understand you will likely keep doing and partaking of? Like a lot of people complain about Amazon, they're very legitimate complaints, but I can always find justifications to keep using it because it's very beneficial to me in my life. I've got a delivery coming today. So, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you have different answers? Please pop your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.